lesson, but we're getting pretty used to it, right, Michelle?
Yes.
Swapping emails back and forth. All right, so today we're going to touch on some of the high-level initiatives in the 2021 marketing plan. And then we will move into discussing and working together to develop some priorities for spring and summer of 2021. And as Mary said, this is we want us to do a collaborative discussion. So throughout the presentation, don't be afraid to interrupt and interject with questions or ideas. And also, you're also welcome to use the chat as well. One of the biggest themes in the 2021 marketing plan is that continued focus on communication and collaboration. I know we're all have been working, not able to get together on a regular basis. Yes, Zoom helps, but making sure that we continue to, come together, share information, and reach out to Savannah with that information. And I'll let her touch on that and the kind of stuff to share with her in a moment. But we'll also be continuing throughout 2021 to have quarterly seasonal planning meetings is the goal that we'll be continuing to schedule. So like today we'll be talking about and working together to identify priorities for the spring and summer season. But we've learned very well over the past year that we need to be flexible and agile and being able to pivot throughout the year. So we'll continue to have these quarterly meetings to identify priorities for the coming season and communicate back and forth as things may change throughout the region, and making sure to share any information like that with Savannah. So Savannah, as the regional marketing manager, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So, as Michelle said, the more we communicate, the more we can collaborate, and the better the marketing will be. So, any information, whether it's a new business or a new event, a change, an update to a business, anything going on that would be good, like to share on social or make a good blog and update to the website. I would love to know that information, or just to connect to get to know the different businesses in the region so I can promote them better. It is, a little bit of a new role for me. So just to connect with as many people as I can and to really understand all the different parts that make up the region will really help me. So anything like that would be good to reach out for, and my email's there as well as my number.
And help you get to better know your neighbors for when you do make the move.
Yes. Hopefully the Whiteface region will be my home soon, so that will be great.
Yay.
Yay.
As Michelle said, kind of starting off with some of the larger projects and initiatives, so we can head to the next slide. One of that is looking at the Whiteface region brand and seeing if it's time to maybe do a little bit of brand development, taking a look and seeing, is it time to maybe freshen up the logo, freshen up the look of the Whiteface region? If we do decide that it's time to give a little fresh look, we would put together a community and traveler survey that would go out and just ask some questions about the region, as well as develop a brand advisory committee. Like I said, it's always good to kind of just make sure we're staying relevant and that our brand, makes sense to the traveler. So I'd just love to hear maybe some thoughts about that and what you guys think about a new brand development.
Roy, Michelle, anybody?
Oh, that was the questions to the end. Okay, so yes.
Oh, the question. You want to answer?
Absolutely. We've been wanting to kind of rebrand for a long time now. Obviously, anything to do with the town, as far as we've invested a lot of money in all of our signs and the town as a whole, keeping the whole look the same as far as, that aspect. But as far as rebranding, I think that we would definitely welcome a fresh start as far as the Visitors Bureau logo and, just the brand itself as far as, a fresh look. But, as far as keeping the feel of the town, we want to keep the town having the same feel, as far as, and even like our banners and stuff, those, as long as whatever our new branding is complements, then I'm welcome to that idea as far as even changing the banners and stuff. But yeah, I think it's exciting. I would welcome definitely a new branding.
So the new branding, from my perspective, could go hand in hand. Like Michelle, to elaborate on what Michelle just talked about, we certainly want to keep our signage and logos similar. But I'd be interested to see what a community and traveler survey responses would be, and how others perceive our brand, and if we're carrying forward what we're trying to do here. So I'm definitely open-minded about the idea of renewing the brand and taking another look at it.
Just I must want to comment that the new brand, why Savannah mentioned travelers, it's getting their opinion on what they think our brand is in the Whiteface region is also important.
Absolutely.
Um,
So what type of timeline are you thinking for this? Like from, I mean, obviously you've done this with the other communities. So from start to finish, how long does this process take?
Michelle, do you want to jump on that?
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yep.
So with the branding process, you know, it's not a one size fits all on how long it takes. On average, it'll take 9 months to a year. You know, the idea is you want to survey your community, your residents, what their perception is. Also doing that traveler analysis and getting perception. Then taking that data and reviewing it. You know, to be really successful, we would want to put together a brand advisory committee so we have engagement that's well representative of different sectors within the region. It includes, you know, some local residents and, you know, business owners, community leaders, so that we can work through those different phases. So the first, you know, I review the research, the first piece that you build is the brand statement. Once that brand statement is done, then you start to, you know, work on the logos and the taglines and you know, then what the color palette is and all of those other pieces. So usually 9 months to a year is that process.
Okay.
There have been, you know, we have had a case where we've like done the first initial research and then like the committee was like, oh, we're really curious about, you know, some additional input. So we took the time to do a second round of surveying. And in the end, we feel like that even though it did extend the project a little bit longer, the final result it's not a marathon, or it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So making sure that your product in the end is, you know, something that we can all be proud of and all work together. Because, you know, we can make the most, you know, we could work in a silo and make the coolest looking logo and mark and tagline and all of that. But if it's not something that the whole region and community embraces and wants to use, it's not as successful.
Sure.
I have Michelle. So was there a timeline that was there any conversation of it? There was some interest in this when it could possibly start?
And that was this, Michelle?
Yes, yes.
We go by Clement for the rest of this call.
Okay, come on.
And so the idea would be, you know, to put together the survey and start rolling that out in March. And the goal would be like a March 1 rollout of that survey. And in the meantime, working on developing that brand advisory committee so that we could, out of the gate, you know, have feedback on the survey and work right through that. And one of those first meetings with that brand advisory committee was to outline that scope of work and the full timeline of the project.
So who makes up this committee as far as like what are you looking for in that committee?
So for the development of the committee, anyone on this call that's interested in being engaged and can commit to, usually it's a series of, you know, 5 to 7 meetings through the process.
Okay.
That's interested in being engaged. The idea is we really want people to be from the start to the finish. And obviously, Michelle, that, you know, we're pulling you into that committee. But any, like, you know, a representation of the lodging community, restaurants, different recreational pieces, also community residents, you know, creating a well-versed set of the population into that, the more successful it is. So
what's a comfortable number of people that you find for a committee?
So usually, we usually do between 10 to 15. If you start
Okay.
too big, then it's also not as productive either.
Sure. Okay.
And there's always, depending on the meeting, you never, sometimes don't end up with the full committee at each meeting.
Sure.
So when we, the first thing obviously is the survey, and then from the survey, there's some work that gets done, and then there's a brand statement that is created. And so, and then from there, Jason or Michelle, it's the mark and the tagline. Is that right?
Yeah.
So do you want, we did one for Saranac Lake. We went through this process for Saranac Lake and rebranded them with their new mark and the decidedly different. And so do you want me to read the brand statement to you for Saranac Lake so you get an idea of what that looks like?
Sure.
So Saranac Lake is a place that is authentically Adirondack and decidedly different. At first glance, it's a historic village where the lakes and the mountains are as accessible as the fresh air. A closer look reveals a downtown with an urban vibe where creative energy flows freely. Arts, music, and healthy living help define the culture of this inspiring place, while shops and cafes provide waypoints for connecting with locals. Here's a hub that connects surrounding communities, and it's all intertwined with waterways, forests, and roads that roll past one scenic vista after another. This is a place where a beautiful balance is struck. It's a nature lover's paradise infused with bold ideas and quirky originality, all done in a way only Saranac Lakers can pull off.
Wow.
And the purpose of the brand statement is really, that is kind of the roadmap for all, that sets the tone and feel of all of the marketing initiatives for Saranac Lake. So, when you're writing content for the website or developing a brochure or, developing video content, that is what we always reflect back to, is that brand statement, to make sure that it's on mark, so that there's that consistent sound and feel for everything.
Okay. Well, I say let's get started with it then.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, that is exciting.
It is.
Very.
Should we just end the presentation now?
You guys have your work cut out for you now for the next 9 months,
So, equally as exciting is the email marketing strategy. So we've definitely ramped up our email marketing strategy during 2020, and we'll be continuing to do so in 2021. So, in addition to our normal Adirondacks USA emails, and those are our weekly emails out to our traveler audience that include a different story from around the region. We have created some much more targeted, specific emails from the Whiteface region and added them to our. I keep hearing weird noise. Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
You're there, Michelle. Yeah.
We hear you.
Yeah, if everybody wants to mute, unless we're talking, that might help. I'm not sure. You want to try that?
All right. So we've added to our email strategy a few different elements. And the first one was a welcome email. So when people go to the whitefaceregion.com, and if they haven't been to the website in the past 30 days, right now they'll get a pop-up that encourages them to enter their email address to get additional information about the Whiteface region in the future. We also use a quarterly contest to help solicit additional email addresses for remarketing purposes. When they first sign up, they get a welcome email. It doesn't have these weird little % signs in it like this screenshot. It actually will say, welcome Michelle or Savannah. I'm just looking at the two top faces here. It includes great information like a seasonal video, very inspirational, also maps, like a map that shows you where in the Adirondacks the region is and how to get there. And so those get updated seasonally. Now that they've signed up for our email, as they do so, they're also telling us some information about their prep, like the things that they're interested in. They may be interested in fishing, they may be interested in mountain biking and skiing. or family travel. So those are the boxes that they would check when they sign up, so that we can then send them actual specific email about their interests. So rather than just getting one email all the time that has a little bit of everything for everyone, we will send somebody that's into fly fishing and signed up for emails for the Whiteface region. They will get an email just about fly fishing in the Whiteface region. And then the third really kind of different type of new email that we've created is a retargeting email. So once somebody is in our email system, whether they signed up this year or 3 years ago, if they, sometime in February, visit the whitefaceregion.com, 2 days later, they will get an email that remarkets them, that covers the priorities that we've identified together for the region. So they'll get a nice email that's got a video and those key primary drivers. So just while they're interested and they visited the website recently, they're in that kind of research and discovery phase of travel, we can touch them again and remind them that, now's the time to visit the Whiteface region. So those emails are performing really well, and we're continuing to tweak them and look forward to creating and utilizing that type of email again for the spring campaigns, the summer campaigns, and throughout the year. Another major initiative is Love Your 80K, and I'll let Savannah talk about this one.
Yeah, so we launched the Love Your 80K campaign in April of 2020, and that is a partnership that we're doing with DEC, Adirondack Council, and Adirondack Mountain Club. The goal of Love Your 80K is to get really good information on preparedness, on leave no trace, on what to pack for your upcoming trip to the Adirondacks if you're going to go hiking or do any sort of outdoor recreation, to just create travelers that are prepared and they're ready. They'll have a better experience, they'll have a safer experience, it's better for the trails, all that. So we launched the Love Your 80K website, and on that website, on the homepage, it has the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics 7 principles. We've also become a community member of Leave No Trace, and the reasoning there was to be able to use these consistent principles that are recognized nationally. By partnering with them, we can continue their work, but we also wanted to make it come back to the Adirondacks too, which is the name Love Your 80K. Also on that website is the Love Your 80K pledge, and that asks travelers to pledge to learning the Leave No Trace principles, to becoming a more prepared hiker. It has a bunch of things, if you're going fishing, check for invasive species, things like that. So by pledging, they're committing to being better stewards. We're also collecting their emails, so then we can then hit them with the email series about Leave No Trace and about preparedness. And then we'll also put up, seasonal specific things. So this winter we put up Winter in the Adirondacks and how to come prepared. And it had just a list of things, like check the weather, choose an appropriate activity, what you need to pack, things like that. And then we'll swap that out for going into summer or going into mud season this spring. And then, offering alternative hikes, paddles, places to go fishing, say, that are maybe lesser used locations. So it's just really focused on that Leave No Trace, on spreading people out, and on helping them to come ready, come prepared, and know what to expect once they're here.
Going the wrong way.
And then another big initiative we're doing this year is our partnership with Travel Unity. Travel Unity is a nonprofit organization that focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion, specifically in the travel space. They're based out of New York. I think a few years ago, Travel Unity hosted a conference in the Adirondacks, and that's where our relationship started with them. But then this year, they reached out that they were putting together a pilot program, which is eventually going to be like Travel Unity certification, which means that you would go through this training as an organization to become certified through Travel Unity. So part of that pilot program includes other DMOs. One of them's Rochester, one of them's Cuyahoga County, so it's pretty New York focused. And through that training, there's 3 categories that Travel Unity takes us through. The first one is management and workforce, then visitorship and community impact. So the management and workforce really looks inward at, our organization. Visitorship is focusing on who we're marketing to and how we're marketing to them, and then the impact that has on the community. So, one thing coming up, we have like a diversity, equity, inclusion training that the ROO staff is going through. And we hope that the more training we have, maybe then we can be a resource to maybe working with the chambers or businesses to help spread that information. But then looking at visitorship, the first big project we're taking on is an accessibility audit. So for that, we've kind of acknowledged that we're lacking a little bit on our website, like good information for, maybe if anyone with like a disability trying to visit our region. So we're looking to add pages and, itineraries, more information on our listings about accessibility. So if someone maybe is in a wheelchair, has a disability and wants to come to the Whiteface region, there can be an itinerary. You can have like a list of all of the attractions that are a good location for them to go, things like that. So I am looking for information. If you are a business that is ADA compliant, accessible in any way, please let me know so we can get that information and get it up on that page.
Michelle, can you hear me? Jerry Bocci.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, just one thing. I think we should spend a couple of minutes on where we are this winter, what the spring and summer looks forward to, and what, if any, adjustments in marketing or strengthening the existing marketing to accommodate what looks to be another COVID umbrella over us this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. And so we can jump to that part of the presentation. We're going to get into some of the specifics for summer and identify those priorities and what our messaging is.
We also have some things lined up, Michelle, for late winter and spring. And so it's coming up, Jerry, just one moment and we'll be there.
Okay.
Okay, it's Karen Peters. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Karen.
I just had a question. It was brought to my attention yesterday that websites need to be ADA compliant. Do you have some assistance with that? I know that this affects everybody, not just the Historical Society. So is that something you can address to help make our websites ADA compliant?
So what we can do is give you the resources that we did send that out in an email probably about 4 weeks ago, some information in regards to website compliancy. And I'm happy to give that to Savannah to send to you, or to the Whiteface region. Again, it's a resource as far as ADA compliance for websites. And
Yeah,
Karen,
I would appreciate that.
I should tell
Yeah, I would
everybody
appreciate that for the to the Historical Society if you could.
I should tell everybody that the Hungry Trout joins another facility in this town that has been sued by a law firm in New York City. And I know one or two hotels in Lake Placid have enjoyed the same experience.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's a big national trend, unfortunately, in terms of the lawsuits and the compliance issues. Like I said, we can send the resources. There's some fairly technical things that have to be done sometimes to bring a website into compliance. So obviously, it's not something we have the resources to go through everybody's site and apply all those technical changes. But we can at least point you in the right direction. And if you do have some specific questions, we can always help if we can.
That would be great for us. We are developing a new website. We have hired someone with a grant to do our website. Our new website should launch in mid-March. So whatever you can send me for ADA compliance would be very much appreciated.
And there are also some good free tools to check your site for any compliance issues, which is nice if you're not sure.
Okay, if you can send that to me, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Karen, I have a website we went to that made us ADA compliant, and it's $450 a year to keep it that way. I can talk to you about that privately.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
Jim McKenna, do you want to comment on this these lawsuits in Lake Placid?
No, I don't. I mean, I think they're active and people are working on it, but so I have no other comment other than that.
So the only thing that I can add to that is that, you know, we do know from our understanding from talking to some of the lodging properties in Lake Placid that, you know, the two things that the most recent situation is to make sure that if you do have inventory online, meaning that someone can book a room through your website or through a third-party website, that you have a category that is for, you know, handicapped. But other than that, we don't have a lot of information. I know that it's been a couple times here in Lake Placid that some lodging properties have gone through it. I know that's not very helpful, but I think the more important thing is to get the resources, Jerry, like you said, so that you continue to be compliant. It's certainly worth the $400 a year.
It's estimated to be a $10,000 to $15,000 settlement, by the way, for everybody's knowledge.
Fun. Okay, so a couple of other projects in the pipeline for 2021 include development of a first-time visitor page for the Whiteface region that really helps provide people that may have not visited before with that information they need to know before they to entice them to travel to the Whiteface region. So that would include maps, really visually information that links them directly if they're into fishing to the fishing information. You know, if it's summer travel, winter travel, it'll help kind of navigate through in a very visual manner. So that'll be a brand new page being added to the Whiteface region website, and it's going to have a very much different look and feel and layout than the existing website. So we're excited about that. And as the development comes along further, we're going to share some kind of templates of what that looks like as it's being developed. Another thing that I wanted to show you, Adirondack Wayfinders. We're going to continue to build out Adirondack Wayfinder Trails. This is a website that we launched or relaunched last fall. And the idea being that developing their thematic trails and itineraries that links together multiple communities in the Adirondacks, and we're building themes on a variety of different topics. Sometimes they're very thematic. For example, there's history trails and there's art trails that we're developing, food, cuisine trails, and then other times it's based on an audience or a traveler type. So here's an example of a motorcycle trail that was developed in the fall, and we're going to continue to develop these, but I just thought it would be good to look through and show you how this works. Especially as right now, especially we learned even throughout 2020 that kind of the rebirth of the American road trip, and there's a lot of interest in road tripping and seeing multiple areas. So these will continue to be a great way to display the area and promote the area.
And Jerry, this speaks a little bit to your question in regards to what is our upcoming marketing. So just to go ahead, Michelle. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's great. So here's an example of what we call one of the motorcycle trails that was created, and it's the Plenty of Peaks motorcycle trail. And in here there are we have the Whiteface Memorial Highway, High Falls Gorge, and the Wilmington Notch are featured for this motorcycle trail. And so this is a very interactive platform. And we can build, you know, we have, like I said, we have a variety of different topics. This is just one example, but it's very customizable. So it's great from the beginning start of that travel cycle where people are dreaming about travel. We can send along like sample itineraries such as this, but there may be times like, okay, you know, this really seems really appealing. I want to try this out. I'd love to take this trip. So there's modifications that can be made. So I'm a motorcyclist and I want to take this, but the Wild Center, that sounds awesome. I want to go there, and Charlie's Inn. But I don't really have time and don't really feel like doing hiking or the outdoor recreation. So you can actually eliminate and remove and make those modifications. So now I have, this great trail that starts in Tupper Lake with the Wild Center and ends at Newmark Diner in Keene in the Whiteface region. I've got a few different stops. Now it's like, okay, now it's time to modify the trail. And I am from Albany, for example. I can put in my starting location and it will modify the pins and create a roadmap based on where I'm starting from. So if I was actually from Watertown, or let's go with Potsdam, the actual loop will change and make the shortest distance based on where I am coming from. There's also the ability to add in and find, so if I'm going to zoom in, it looks like the halfway point of this trip. I'm very interested in staying in this area. I can click on lodging and zoom in and identify where there's different lodging along the route. And those pins will take me to, it's got a lot of vacation rentals, but you can look at and find the different locations. Mounds Family Lodge.
I don't think the Hungry Trout has motorcycles, so I think you can eliminate their pin. Yes. What do you think, Gary?
So
we do, Jimmy, we do.
Wind them up, Jim.
So then the next thing that we can do is, if I wanted to, okay, my trail is set, I can actually hit start. If I was on, and now it pushes it right to Google Maps and it puts in every single pin. So it is a fully adaptable mobile website. So you can actually just hit start and sync it with your car or your motorcycle navigation and follow the route. So it can work from that dreaming and inspiration of there's a really cool route to take all the way to the actual navigation.
So Michelle, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How are you driving traffic to this, and how do properties make sure they're on that map as far as hospitality places and restaurants and things of that nature?
So I think the first thing is, how are we driving traffic to this? So it comes spring again, and once we will have some advertising campaigns that speak directly to Adirondack Wayfinder. We also include, for example, this week's Adirondacks USA email. One of the main features was actually a trail that celebrates Black History Month. In those emails, we're using social media to drive traffic there. Sometimes it links out to them. So we've been developing some to go along with stories or blogs, so that we can embed that right into that story, so that it makes it easy to see it on a map. So there are a variety of different ways that we're pushing this out. And that's where, Savannah is a great resource to make sure that if a business would like to be included in a trail or has an idea for creating a trail or itinerary, definitely reach out to Savannah with that. Now, so the add-ons to the trails, each trail, when we build these trails, you have the ability to add on 2 different amenity types. So for example, this is like one of the main screens right here, and there's a variety of Adirondack beer trails. So on these trails, adding food and other places to have drinks or food may not make sense, but we might want to add lodging or maybe like short hikes to that. You always have 2 options. There's cuisine trails. We want to add more dining, but you can add lodging and historic spots, things that might make sense and relevant to help kind of complete that trip as add-ons. Those businesses that are added on, to make sure that businesses are included, that's really making sure that those businesses are on the Whiteface Region website, because it pulls from the same database that Michelle manages for the chamber and that we use for the website. So it's the same listing. So businesses don't have to like sign up. I just want to be added as an amenity. That's what feeds that. Sorry, that was a long answer. There was a variety of different pieces and components to that one. So yes, this is where if you have an idea of a great itinerary that we could put together, we're always looking for additional ideas, and those are things that we'll work through and share with you as we're developing more itineraries. It's really, this is a new product, and it's in its infancy, and there's so many ideas that we have and can develop these trails more. When Savannah was talking about the accessibility audit that we were doing right now, and the idea is to develop content so we can create itineraries of accessible destinations around and attractions around the region, and link together multiple communities.
Somewhere.
What's that? Mary Jane, do you have something?
Yeah, you just broke out, I thought, for a minute, but maybe it was just on my end. Sorry.
That's all right.
So something, Michelle, that I think would be kind of neat is if you can bring into it like a family scavenger hunt type thing that would be maybe like a photo scavenger hunt, because I'm sure that each town has something unique that maybe they could, not only a town sign, but something else that people could have their picture taken by, and just kind of come up with cool things like that maybe would bring people into the different towns and everything as well.
I think it's a great idea. We've been throwing around different ideas of like unusual roadside attractions, selfie spots, and that's where we do bring some out for families that are just targeted towards that, that whatever your travel party looks like and what those interests are. So while there are times where we do like, those more iconic things like a history trail or a cuisine trail, creating those itineraries of fun, cool locations, that'd be great. And that's where we love, if you have ideas of what that iconic thing is that we should feature in the Whiteface region,
Okay.
We're always looking for ideas like that. And one other thing to touch on is some new data and information that we're really excited about getting. So this is we'll be having access soon to some mobile tracking data, and that's information that those cell phone apps when we're talking about keeping the weather app open on our phones, that does, there are, that information is pushed out so it knows where people are traveling with phones. A little bit creepy, but it does provide some really great information on really understanding who's coming to different regions. So we've partnered with the other 7 counties that make up the Adirondack I Love the New York region to have access to some mobile tracking data of key points of interest around the Adirondacks. So we'll be having some spots in the Whiteface region, including Whiteface Mountain. So we'll have an idea of like, in the summer, people that take the Whiteface Memorial Highway, having a good understanding where they come from, how long they spend in the region, what other points of interest that they are visiting as well. And what's cool about that is that seeing what travel patterns are naturally happening could help us even further refine those wayfinder trails and itineraries, as well as a lot of other interesting information. The one thing we're really excited about as it becomes available is it actually will backdate 3 years. So I think that when we met one of the last times, we talked a lot about how in 2020 that the traveler may have been a little bit different than previous years, where they were coming from, how long they were staying, their age, that kind of stuff. So we can actually see maybe like what the kind of pre-COVID traveler looked like, what 2020 was, and really use that to refine our marketing for our predictions for 2021. And then we'll get it on a monthly basis, those snapshots, so it can help us tweak and refine that our targeting as we move through the year. So it's exciting. We're still, looking to see as that they're building out this platform across New York State for us right now. And as it becomes available and we get some insights, we look forward to sharing those with you. So I'm going to pivot back to Savannah, who's going to talk about a few other things.
Yeah, another really great thing that we've put together this year is the resource toolkit, and that lives on the Roost 80K website. And essentially what it is, it's a place that has, you can like download like the photos that we take in the region. So it has like good quality photos of Whiteface Region. It's where we're putting the Politely Adirondack posters and signage. So if you want to update your sign, you can go there and download the Politely Adirondack posters to print out. You'll see to the right, there's like the 7 tips for snowmobiling. There's also one for ice fishing. We did a series called like So You Want To that had information for the travelers, what to expect when they get here that we pushed on social media. So all of those like what to know campaigns, we're uploading them all to this toolkit page and there's sections. So there's a Whiteface Region section that has the appropriate branding attached where you can just download and print out all of that stuff or download to use for social. And I can continue, with my monthly RMM email to, update if there's new things added to the toolkit. I'll let you know so you know when to download or, where to find it. But that'll be a great resource to use.
Thank you.
And then next is Wonders of Wilmington, which is a new thing in the works that'll essentially be a challenge, like kind of like the 6er challenge or the 9er challenge. This one focuses on the wonders of Wilmington. I don't know, Michelle, do you want to talk a little bit about this project?
I can, sure. We actually have volunteers that lives here in town, Karen Kiesler, and she and her husband have graciously volunteered to take on the task of organizing this challenge, and it's still in the baby stage right now. So we're going to be developing a patch and a sticker, and like Savannah said, it's much like any of the other challenges where people will have several different mountains to climb or challenges to do, and then they can have bragging rights and a patch. And Roost is going to assist us with this by helping us with the website and other organizational type stuff with it, as far as the itinerary, or the roster side of things, so the registration and everything. Right now, we're going to have 3 different challenges. There's going to be a hiking one, a mountain biking one, and a family one. So, and we came up with WOW, which is Wonders of Wilmington. So within the next couple of months, we'll have that all ironed out, and we're hoping to get it launched the 1st of April. So,
Awesome.
I guess that's pretty much it. And once we have more details, then I'm going to be sending everything out to the members so that everyone can start putting it on their websites. And we will be looking for some sponsors to help kick it off as well. And that way, like maybe the first 100 people can, get some prizes from local businesses and stuff as well, just to kind of get things kicked off. So be looking for sponsorship opportunities as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
So now we'll be hitting the point where we'll be diving into some of the stuff we're talking about with regard to winter and spring and summer. I'm wondering, I was going to say, oops. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So looking forward to summer 2021. I'm excited about all the snow, but I'm really excited for summer. Of course, we'll have a continued focus on all of the outdoor activities that the region offers, all the mountain biking, cycling, fly fishing, hiking, all of that. A large focus on just marketing as a family-friendly destination. There's just so many great places, Santa's Workshop, High Falls Gorge is the wildlife refuge, that make it a really good family friendly place to go, and affordable lodging as well. A good place to avoid crowds, get close to those attractions, open space, things like that. I think that's something that the region really offers, and that will, be an advantage, going into, summer with COVID still very much a thing. And then, we'll definitely put a big focus still on the know before you go, updating our traveler updates page. That just has a bunch of resources of everything they should expect when they come here, what the new regulations are, with maybe lodging or dining, things like that. And then continuing to push, with social media, just what people need to expect before they come here. And, as things change with COVID, that's how we can adapt quickly and, alter our marketing a little bit, looking for things that are safe to promote, avoiding crowds, leave no trace, things like that, messaging that, even if cases maybe spike a little bit, it's still relevant and it's still helping the traveler if they do come or if they choose to come later.
Yeah,
May I ask a question? May I ask a question here? Our events, where do events play in here? I know COVID is creating havoc with that, but for example, that we are still expecting to do our whiskey run for the Historical Society, but it could be virtual rather than in person. But we're going to do it one way or the other. So I don't see that in here. Would that go? Where would that go?
Yeah. So, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, looking at events, previously we knew, all the events that were coming up, but as things are changing, if your event is going to happen or, if there's an update to the different events that happen in the region, like definitely share that information with me and we will make sure it's, on the event page of the website that there's a listing for it, not a listing, but an event, whatever it's called. I can push it on social media, but I guess making sure that that information comes to us and, whether I work with Michelle Preston or, the different event coordinators, that's just information that just, as long as we know, we can help push and help promote.
Okay.
And as soon as you have that information on that, a date or how you're moving forward to share that information. I know Bethany in our office right now, we're actually just speaking this morning on, again, like looking at that whole master Adirondack list of like what events are happening and how they're happening. This topics here, you're right, events is missing. We usually do like, this is the primary leisure travel, like drivers, and the events, as we identify that they are happening, those are usually their own like separate, because they're a one date or a multiple date, whatever, those are a little bit different. So those ads run a little different than the primary, like these topics will create like the ads, the content, the primary landing page where we drive all of our ads to. So that's why it's a little bit separated.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions.
I know another bullet on here says road trip itineraries, and Michelle had pulled up the Wayfinder and specifically, like motorcycle touring and, just seeing that the Whiteface region really is a good region for that, or just for people, on a road trip looking to drive around, the toll road, scenic, driving to the notch, scenic things like that. So another thing that we will definitely try to promote.
It's really, we can leverage that road trip itineraries for taking the position of Wilmington as creating almost your base camp for those, maybe loops, other regional attractions, and then returning to Wilmington for quiet, right now looking at quiet, midweek, avoid the crowds, it's and all the great amenities that are available in the Whiteface region. So we'll definitely leverage the Adirondack Wayfinder to promote and highlight Wilmington, Whiteface region.
Michelle and Savannah, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that we're working on for the rest of, the winter and into spring, regards to some midweek travel and, promoting? Where are you going, Michelle?
I am pulling up a page. I know. I've decided to leave the meeting.
Like,
doing sharing the full browser is I can't like pull over and not be like, oh, here it is.
Michelle, I'd like to make a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's noteworthy that I have an acquaintance in Turin, New York, which is Tug Hill. who thinks he can get to the Flume Bridge in Wilmington by snowmobile. He's going to try that Monday.
Awesome.
And if he does, I think that's very worthy of a press release or an article in the local papers.
Mm-hmm. So is he going to do stories or photos and stuff along the way? Is it just with all of the snow that he's using to get?
Yeah. It's he and his son. He's in the business up there, the snowmobile business.
Mm-hmm.
But he thinks it can be done, and that I think that would be historic.
Yes.
And regarding motorcyclists, we do a fair amount of motorcycle business here, and in every case, they say Wilmington should be a hub for motorcyclists.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all these backcountry farm roads. You've got 300-mile circles,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very worthy of promoting, and really good people.
Mm-hmm.
By and large.
My to go off a little bit is my stepfather is a big motorcyclist over here in Tupper. That's well known, and he does a lot of traveling out west and everywhere. And my mother would go on these like 2-week trips with him, and whenever they describe the places they want to go and the destinations they want to stay at along their multi-week trip, they literally describe all the amenities and assets that Wilmington has. And so, right, great position there to create those itineraries and show off. You have that main attraction of taking a motorcycle up Whiteface Memorial Highway, the accommodations and the way they're positioned, that quiet, friendly community with the looping. You do multiple loops in different directions and hit different cool, winding, beautiful roads. So you are right there. That is great. And with regard to snowmobiling and that cool story, that's also, we did do a major update here on the Adirondack Snowmobile app. And so, we encourage everyone to, if you haven't seen that app, and we can include the link to that in our follow-up email, we encourage you to download that app, look at that trail information. We're always looking for feedbacks on how to make that resource more accurate, or if there's ever any trail changes or things that we need to make sure to share those with us. We did yesterday send out an email to anyone that's subscribed to our email list and expressed interest in snowmobiling in the past. An email reminding them to download the apps. There are some major updates this year, as well as tips for snowmobiling during COVID that we've worked on with some other partners with some challenges that he saw. So helping the traveler alleviate some of the challenges this year.
And Michelle, we did also just send out a snow alert email, which we do when we get big dumps of snow. So that usually piques people's interest to come play in our winter wonderland.
So we're continuing to focus on, highlighting some of the what's new at Whiteface, really telling people what to know before they go to Whiteface with regard to how to get tickets, making online reservations, what the expectations are, really encouraging and pushing in our marketing that midweek travel as well. Also for the Whiteface region, we're really focusing on that, fresh air and open spaces is our messaging, and connecting people to information on activities other activities beyond the mountain that they can do. One thing we're working on, especially for busier weekends, is trying to help people develop that plan B. If they plan on going to Whiteface and, are unable to get tickets or lift tickets for that day, helping them find other fun things to do in the area as an alternative, and, including those in our messaging. Also, Mary, were there some other things that you were thinking about that you wanted us to cover?
No.
I had a question. We've talked about how the traveler during COVID definitely has been different. Not only has it been more families instead of athletes and all of that, but definitely we saw a lot of people that were from within New York State.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of people from Rochester, Buffalo, and New York City, all of those areas. So when you guys are targeting people now with paid advertisements, what areas are you going to concentrate spending the money on? Because the one thing that I heard over and over and over again was people were blown away. They're like, wow, we've never been within our own state before. And now that we've been here, got a taste of it, we're coming back, you know, when everything is open and everything. So where do you guys plan on really spending or focusing on this summer as far as the money?
Savannah, you want me to take that one, or do you want to take?
Sure, I can. Yeah, so we have this past year, and we'll continue to focus, you know, closer, so more regional. You know, Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo. You know, we haven't been including, you know, other states or even really, you know, New York City in our paid efforts as much. Just smaller budgets, but like you said, you know, just trying to say like closer to home. It's a great place to visit. Safer, those shorter trips, and we'll continue with the winter marketing and summer marketing to focus more regionally.
Well, and I think along with that line, you know, when you're talking about the different wayfinder routes and stuff like that, a lot of that northern New York, you know, is more day trips and stuff like that. And I think that, again, a lot of what I was hearing this summer was people from, I really was surprised the number of people from Rochester and Buffalo. We had a huge amount of people from down that or out that direction. And I really think that those are the people that will probably come back. So I mean, that's just my feedback, that I really think that that's a market that maybe we haven't tapped into a lot in the past. I think that people, Albany kind of know that we're here, you know, and obviously we never know what's going to happen with the border and everything. So I don't know, you know, about spending money necessarily, you know, more north, you know, but just my feedback is I really think that that's an area that maybe we could focus more on, you know, and even a little bit more west of that, you know, I mean, maybe tapping into Ohio or something like that, you know, like down that way. I really think that there's a great potential down that direction.
Awesome. No, thank you. You know, right now we did tie, you know, we pulled in our marketing, like kind of 3-hour radius, you know, as numbers go up, we pull that number, that radius in on our targeting tighter. And then, you know, as we get like that feeling and seeing where numbers are, we've expanded it throughout the year, but we've stayed committed to not being outside of New York for targeting. But I think that, you know, you have some really great points of where that traveler is coming from. So that's why we're really optimistic and hope this partnership with the other Adirondack counties to see that mobile tracking data, to see, you know, we hear a lot of anecdotal, and we've seen it ourselves. We're all having like, oh yeah, I've noticed that there's a lot more of this license plate, or I'm hearing that people are coming from here. So being able to have some additional data in addition to our normal, like, you know, we track analytics on where people are looking at the website from in our leisure travel study every year, but seeing a little bit more real time with that mobile tracking to help us, you know, look at and confirm that our targeting's on mark or making adjustments based on new trends that we're seeing. And so. So I think that the next project we're starting is that survey.
Absolutely.
So I think Mary Jane's trying to talk.
I'm always trying to talk. Keep going. Well, you were so.
Okay. And then I saw it. So I guess the first thing is if anyone is really interested in learning more about the process or joining, being part of that committee, to reach out to Savannah here or following this email. We will start working on the community-based survey, and then we'll be doing some outreach on building that committee. So kind of two things will be going in simultaneous paths: is one, building that committee, and two, building that survey. And then we'll call our first committee meeting on that. And then during that time, we'll outline the entire scope of work for the process and, like, you know, timelines for each step and phase.
So Savannah's the contact for that, as far as the committee being involved. And I think, Savannah, you can just, if you want, you can just pop your contact right into the chat. So if anybody wants to copy and paste it. Is there anything else that anybody would like to cover, direct, talk about while we're all together?
Well, I want to thank all of you businesses that did participate, because this is great. You know, this is the way that we get the conversation started.
Absolutely.
Just a quick, just if I could, Gary Barker here, just a quick comment before we all go. I think one of the challenges we're going to have this summer is too much activity.
So what you're saying
hear
is you
me?
think that we're going to be inundated with travelers,
You bet.
Jerry, for
You
the
bet.
summer?
Yep, you bet.
So
I'll tell you, this is essentially a motel town, and McKenna will back up the fact that motels had a resurgence this last year because of the access to their accommodation. They don't have to take an elevator up 3 floors, press a bunch of buttons, be in the middle of 300 or 400 people. Wilmington, you can drive right to your door, and you have access to the outside and the outdoor activities that we have right there. You jump on your bike and you go, you get your slide rod, you can walk to the river in many instances. Last July and August, our problem over here was there was too much business.
So Jerry, see, my understanding is that there will be J1s. They're here this winter. I do know that. And so if things continue to go in the right direction, at least we'll have access to that job, you know, that workforce for the summer, which may alleviate some, not all.
Has anyone heard about what they're doing with access to hiking trails? I know last year they talked about maybe reservations or stickers or pay to hike, something like that. Any news on that?
Jim, do you want to speak to that?
It doesn't look like there'll be any reservations at this point. The DEC will be issuing, hope within the next 2 to 3 weeks, a report that was compiled by the High Peaks Advisory Group. It's still in Albany waiting to be blessed, but there will be very specific recommendations in that. But reservations will not be part of it at this particular time, is my understanding.
Because I know last year it was dangerous in Team Valley.
Yeah. You know, looking back at 20 and trying to figure out 21, it is a challenge right now. We still somewhat with uncertainty, but overall, Jerry, you're right. We fared very well, not only in the motels, some of the hotels also did well. Countywide, we just got some figures yesterday that, you know, occupancy tax collections year over year, 19 to 20, was down 8% from 1919. So we did, in comparison to other destinations we heard about, we did very well here. Traditional lodging. No, go ahead.
Was there any accommodation to the extra 2%?
That's not counting. That's comparing 3% to 3%. There was no opposition that we were aware of the extra 2%.
Yeah. No, I mean, those numbers that you gave
No.
year against didn't reflect a 30% hike in the.
No, it was apples to apples. We keep that 2% separately. Traditional lodging. Let me just give you the other stats. Traditional lodging, which is hotel, motel, B&B, was down 16%. So overall, we were down 8%. Traditional lodging was down 16%. Short-term rental was up 19%, is how it broke out.
Yeah, I share about those numbers. However, does that reflect essentially being closed for 6 to 7 weeks in the spring?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Because if you take those 6 or 7 weeks and add it to 20, then you're close to having a better season. I mean, just from a statistical standpoint.
Yep.
I know closing down May through the month of June took away all of our fishing business, and that was a huge reflection on our gross revenues for the year, huge. If you put just the equal amount back into our numbers, it was a record year.
Yep.
And I'm not alone there. I think everybody I met this summer was very happy once middle of July came to us. By the way, Jim, I had a Ironman runner called me a couple of weeks ago asking if I was on the course. And of course I have been, but I asked him, why do you ask? And he wasn't sure whether or not they were going to have an Ironman this year.
That's correct.
Any comment on that?
No, that's correct. You know, they're trying to gear themselves up, but it all comes down to really what the protocols are, what the state issues, and what our local public health, our county public health deals with it.
I think he suggested there was going to be an abridged one. Have you heard anything to that effect?
Have not.
Okay. Are we to look forward to virtually no events then this summer like last year?
We've had meetings with all the event organizers, the major ones, which is the horse show, Ironman, lacrosse, and rugby, or the some ones that come to mind. I might have forgotten one. MJ would, I don't know if I got them all, but they're all planning of having their event at this time, understanding that they might not be the ones that are making the final decision. So they're all in planning for it at this point.
Is there a date where it's a go or no go?
Have to be for some of them. Certainly, springtime is what they're pretty much all looking at.
Mm-hmm.
By then.
Yeah. Well, my feeling is, again, I don't think you're going to need it.
Yep.
Every indication here suggests that people can't wait to get back to the mountains, or get up to the mountains, get away from Brooklyn
Yep.
and the urban areas, which is a wonderful challenge, isn't it?
Yes.
Hi, this is Maggie. I just wanted to thank Michelle for inviting me. As you all know, Proof Federal Credit Union is going to be in your area this summer. And I just wanted to let Michelle know to please include us in any sponsorship. We would love to be involved in fundraising and sponsoring events. Our motto is people helping people. So we take great pride in sponsoring community events, especially when it involves kids and seniors. So we're more than happy to contribute and to volunteer as well. So
Absolutely. We're so excited that you guys are coming too. So thank you.
you're
So
welcome.
are you setting up a facility in Wilmington?
Our plan is to rent and renovate the old hardware store pending approval from the planning board.
Great. That's great. That's really good.
Yeah, we're very excited. We've had lots of great feedback, and our credit union is growing very well. I have an amazing staff, so we're looking forward to getting into that area. So there's lots of unserved and underserved members in that community that we can bring our services to.
We're excited to have you here too, Maggie.
Yay, Roy! Thank you for all your help as well as Michelle. So if anyone could get on social media, we're on all platforms, and just like us. And when we do surveys, we have a survey out there right now. So my board is on, my board of directors is on Facebook. So they love to see that Wilmington. So.
Awesome. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
Just a comment. It's wonderful to have a meeting like this, and I think maybe we should do it more often.
We basically want to do these, like, a minimum of quarterly for identifying marketing priorities and dealing with what everyone's seeing in the region, what's coming up in the months, as well as we'll be meeting in between there, working on the new branding. I hope to see a lot of these faces very regularly throughout 2021.
From a community standpoint, I think we should do this more often. It's nice to communicate with everybody to see who needs help, who needs some occupancy, who's serving a brunch, or whatever the case may be. I think communication is very key.
I would just like to add that if there's anyone on the call, I believe, Michelle, my email is on the Chamber's site. If anyone does have events going on and is looking for sponsorship dollars, I would be more than happy to help out in any way that we can to get events advertised and whatnot. So we're a resource for you for sponsorships and volunteering. So just reach out to me whenever you have something.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining today.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.